I am so proud to stand here with my 5 colleagues, but I also have to acknowledge the one that's not here, and that's Senator John McCain, who has been an absolute champion, along with his wife, on attacking this problem. 5 years ago when I met Cindy McCain, one of the first words out of her mouth is, "What can we do about this?" And working within the Homeland Security Committee, where so much of this work got done, both in the Homeland Security Committee, but also in the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, I can't say enough about the commitment of that committee, but importantly, the commitment of the leadership of the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, both Senator Portman and Senator McCaskill, who worked in tandem, who engaged their very, very capable staff, who did the investigation that led to the exposure of the issues, that led to a commitment, a bipartisan commitment to develop and pass this bill. But I do want to say that I know that John and Cindy are with us today in spirit, that I know Cindy's probably watching because she's very, very excited that finally we're going to get this done. And this is such an important tool. This is such an important piece of stopping human trafficking, which has been her lifelong objective and passion. And so today we stand not just with the colleagues that are here on the floor, but also with our great friend Senator John McCain and his beautiful and active and wonderful wife, Cindy McCain. So I want to kind of say the other reason why I'm really proud is this is why I came to the United States Senate, to work across the aisle to address major issues and challenges, to make a difference in the lives of some of the most vulnerable human beings in our country. We're here today on the cusp of passing a bill that will provide victims a real opportunity to seek justice and recover damages from websites who profited on their pain of being sold for sex, while also providing new tools to prosecutors, including my former colleagues, the state attorneys general, to go after these sites and after their owners. Again, I want to thank Senator Portman and Senator Blumenthal for their tireless work in trying to fashion the right mix of understanding of the importance of the Communications Decency Act to the development of this tool we call the internet, but also to make sure that this is not used as a tool for incredibly bad actors who would prey on the most vulnerable among us. And so driving this bill and forging a compromise was not easy. This was not easy. No one should think that this came together easily or that we didn't have many moments where we did our own soul searching. Those of us who are committed to the First Amendment and those of us who are committed to free access of means to express our opinions and do our business. So what I will tell you is this is a big thing. This isn't a little thing. This is a big thing, not only because we're doing it in a bipartisan way, but that we are speaking on behalf of the most vulnerable human beings in this country. The sale of human beings for sex on the internet, I can't imagine a more heinous act. And it's happening in all of our communities. It's happening in our states each and every day. When I began my journey to the United States Senate, I engaged in and started visiting with my old friends in North Dakota law enforcement. As I've said many times here, I'm a former Attorney General from the great state of North Dakota and have great friends in law enforcement. And their message was simple. They were seeing a lot more drugs. Obviously, North Dakota was experiencing an oil boom, and that was creating some social upheaval, additional crime, additional concern about crime. But they then told me something I didn't expect. We're seeing this incredible rate and increase in prostitution. And I thought about that, and I thought, well, what does that mean, and how do we investigate it? And so many people would argue that this is a victimless crime and not a priority. And we started looking behind this, and my colleagues in law enforcement in North Dakota started doing stings, and they did something that peace officers all across the country do. They sat down with the women they were arresting, and they started listening to their stories. And the stories were heartbreaking. The stories of being preyed on as young girls, either in their home or as they were running away. The stories of how they got in the life. And many, many of my colleagues in law enforcement began to say, these women are not criminals. They are victims. And we began to look at what has led to this huge explosion. And we started examining all the websites, all the places where, with the tweak of a word or with the opportunity to be anonymous. In the old days, you would have to stand out perhaps in a street corner, but now you can be anonymous. And that it gave those perpetrators, those evil human beings, yet another avenue. And that's when we started looking at Backpage.com and other sites like it that sell human beings for sex. And that occurs in every corner of our country, in the small and big states, and in the small and big counties, and in oil counties, and out east in farming communities. And so no one should believe that we are immune or somehow limited because of, it's going to happen here but not there. One thing that we have learned is it is happening everywhere. And today we are saying no more. The Stop Enabling Sex Trafficking Act would crack down on these horrific crimes online and provide justice for victims. And today, it is going to pass the Senate with broad bipartisan support and head to the President's desk to be signed into law. In many instances, websites help traffickers skirt law enforcement through online advertising and continue to do without penalty by claiming their First Amendment rights. I remember when we, in the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, subpoenaed and had a chance to question the witnesses in Backpage.com. And they started talking about their First Amendment rights. And I pointed out to them that nothing that this body can do can affect someone's First Amendment rights. They were not alleging or saying they were protected by the First Amendment. They knew that wouldn't fly. They said they were protected by the terms of the Communications Decency Act. Now, like Senator Blumenthal, I never believed that the Communications Decency Act protected them from prosecution or protected them from civil penalty if they were complicit and in fact abetted these crimes. I never believed that, but there were judges in America who did. And we met and saw a lot of those judges and read a lot of those opinions and said, we cannot let a law of the United States Congress, a law on the books in our country, allow perpetrators who sell children for sex to be absolutely avoid any civil or criminal penalty. We cannot allow that to happen. Not a law of this country. We don't have the ability to restrict or modify the First Amendment in this body, but we do have the ability to amend a law that is being used inappropriately to protect the most hideous criminals in America. So no law should put anyone above liability if they are actively involved and complicit in selling children for sex. And so as we stand here today, we know that we are doing something that we hope would happen more often in the United States Senate. We're standing for those victims, those parents, those children, those women who are still in the struggle of human trafficking, those children who are still in the struggle of human trafficking. We are standing with them today to say no more. And people who will illegally profit from selling children for sex are going to be held accountable. So the message needs to go from this body, it needs to go from the signature of this bill to the fact that that protection that you have been alleging inappropriately of hiding behind the Communication Decency Act ends, and it ends with the passage of this bill. I couldn't be prouder of the work that my colleagues, Senator McCaskill and Senator Portman, did on the Permanent Subcommittee. You exposed the facts that led to the argument that led to the passage of this bill. And I'm proud to stand with you. I am proud to work to make sure that this bill is appropriately implemented. And I look forward to the first prosecution of someone who sells children for sex on the internet by profiting from the webpage that they create. With that, again, Senator Portman, thank you so much for your excellent work. Senator McCaskill, thank you so much for your excellent work. I proudly stand with you today and know that we are making a difference today. Today, the United States Senate will make a difference in the most vulnerable human beings in our country. Thank you. I yield the floor.